Hey everybody, welcome to Saturday Scares with Kyle, and this week we are talking about a pretty recent film directed by Tim Story. It's The Blackening, which is available on Blu-ray right now and DVD. The film was in theaters this summer for a little while, and it's
It was.
basically it's a take on horror cinema that has been going on for decades right now, where it's the black guy dies first. And even this film's tagline and poster says, "We can't all die first," as it displays its entire cast of characters. The film was directed by Tim Story, who actually just recently dropped a film on Disney Plus called Dashing Through the Snow, one that is not very good. But The Blackening is a quite delightful little film that covers race and also kind of breaks down these barriers that have been existing in horror for a while. I really took to this film when it came out. I was a big fan of it, preaching its many qualities. It stars Grace Byers, Jermaine Fowler, Melvin Gregg, Dwayne Perkins, Jay Farrell from Saturday Night Live is also in the film, as well as Diedrich Bader, who is in The Drew Carey Show, and I believe he's on Whose Line occasionally as well. It's about all these friends on Juneteenth. They go to stay at a cabin in the woods, of course. And when they get there, they discover a really disturbingly racist board game called The Blackening that even features like a little black Sambo character that speaks the questions that they have to solve. And they're told if you don't play and if you don't complete the tasks that the game has, you're going to die. What I love about this movie is that, first of all, it's definitely a movie I couldn't make. It's one that I don't have a perspective on. It's entirely, black-centric, about their culture and about kind of taking down the idea that black cinema and horror cinema have been at odds for so long, which is not it's not really the case. Black horror has been around for a while, and this is kind of a film poking fun at in a very scary movie-esque way at times. I like to think of this as Blazing Saddles through the lens of Promising Young Woman. It's a very blunt force object kind of a satire, but it's also incredibly funny. There are questions that are being asked of these characters, like name all the black guest stars on Friends. And they're like, well, we don't watch Friends, And there's elements of, you're supposed to kill the one of you that is the blackest. So then they discuss, what does that mean to be the blackest person in the room? And I really love the fact that it's a movie that is both very much critiquing, it's very much critiquing kind of the black experience in horror, but also just having fun with the concept as well. There's a lot of people out there that when this film came out, they thought well, it's not fair black people get to make fun of white people in this movie. And it's like, as a white person, I can only speak to my experience, and I thought a lot of the humor was really funny. We've had decades and decades of straight white men like myself who have made films making fun of other races, made films making fun of other genders, make films making fun of other sexual orientations. I don't give a crap that now it's happening in the reverse. I don't care. I'm not offended by it, and I really enjoyed a lot of the humor that was within the film.
As long as it's funny.
As long as it's funny. And a lot of this film, not all of the film works. I will say there are some jokes that fall flat, but there is consistently good comedy that's done throughout. I like the integration of all the different characters. Jermaine Fowler plays this kind of like Urkel-looking character. He's got the big glasses. He kind of talks like this out the side of his mouth. Dwayne Perkins plays kind of the token gay character in the group who's always kind of like giving the sass to the other ones, but then also when he gets really high, he's able to break loose and kind of become part of the group. I really appreciated this ensemble that is in the film, and a number of them are people that I did not know before going into the film. But then you also get mainstays like Jay Farrow, who owns the beginning of this movie. The first opening sequence of this film is hilarious with Jay Farrow.
Yeah. You should have said that all right, starring Jay Farrow.
Oh, I know. If only he were in the movie more than he is. But he is great when he's in the film. I like that Diedrich Bader plays Park Ranger White. He's the only white guy in the movie that's really there. Yeah. And I love that he's introduced in kind of a way like how the characters are introduced in Get Out, where he's like checking people's IDs when they arrive. So there's this instant idea that he is a white man who is not a friendly, who is not someone that can be trusted. And there's that question as he re-enters the narrative of, can we trust him, can we not? Is he the killer, is he not? I really liked a lot of that. Granted, I will say this. The ending reveal of the identity of the killer and what's going on, I felt pretty obvious throughout most of the film. I wish it had been, a little bit harsher. But I wish that also that the film had gone a little bit further, because there is some satire, there is some comedy to it that goes hard. I want it to go further, and I know that there's a potential sequel that's being worked on right now. I would love to see Tim Story and a bunch of the cast return for this one. I'd love to see a little bit more murder.
You're already not playing safe. Go farther.
Yeah. So when the film does, I think it's fantastic. And overall, this film I have to recommend it. I think it is probably the best horror comedy the last couple of years, or at least definitely in that conversation, and something that you should be checking out, even if you think, oh, this movie might not be for me. Check it out, because I think it's quite something. I think it's a good cast, interesting people, and man, like moments like I said, there's a little black Sambo character that speaks from the board game that is harshly racist, but the way in which they use that racism to take down the racism is fantastic. I can't recommend this film enough. I've seen it a couple times now, and I definitely would be watching it again. Maybe, next horror. Maybe next Juneteenth as the characters celebrate. I'll be checking it out again as well.
Perfect timing.
So those are my thoughts on The Blackening. I know I'm a white guy talking about it, but I can say from a white perspective, I had a lot of fun with the film. Go ahead and check it out and leave your comments down below. And let me know maybe what your other favorite Tim Story directed films are. Because like I said, he did 2 films that came out in wide release this year. I really enjoyed The Blackening, and I really didn't enjoy Dashing Through the Snow, his Christmas Santa film. But all that being said, you can come ahead and join us next week when we will be covering... what are we going to do? Let's do Count Yorga Vampire from the 1970s. We're going to cover that. Join us.